What is happening, fellow fantasy GMs? I am JJ Wang. This is the bearded one, DJ Dove. With our powers combined, we are the Fantasy Couriers.
Okay, JJ Wang, we are getting closer and closer and closer to something that matters.
What do you mean?
You know,
Combat matters?
the combine, that's just a bunch of kids in their underwear dancing around. We're getting ready for free agency. That's what I'm excited for. And then we'll have a draft a jillion months after that. And then it's time to throw the pigskin around again. Seems so far away. So far
I don't think
away.
it's very far away. I mean, I think it's already, I feel like it's right around the corner. It's already, I feel like it's already gone so fast.
Oh, I still have so much to do at work, and then I gotta start work again, and then with the new school year, and then it will be time to watch somebody play football after I've done a couple weeks in. So it's a lot of work in between
Well,
the
once
last fall and the next fall.
once they start all these spring leagues, we'll be able to have fantasy football in the spring.
I made that mistake years ago. I played in the original XFL fantasy league, the one that folded, and the Vince McMahon's first one where they threw the ball and you're right after it.
Yeah,
And
I remember.
I think I had Moran Vince on my team, but yeah, it was pretty terrible. But I guess yeah, April we will have what USFL. I think that's what they're called,
Oh,
aren't they?
yeah,
No,
so
what's
we
the other one?
USFL, USFL and the XFL.
XFL is coming back next year with The Rock
Yeah.
being in on that. So I think it's USFL this year. It starts in April. So hopefully it's good. We'll see. I'm sure we'll talk about it. But yeah, you want something good to do? Hit us up. Give us things you want to hear. Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Chop a note in the YouTube comments. Pop us an email, thefantasycouriers@gmail.com, or hit up the website. Everything is in the notes of the YouTube video and the podcast linear notes. We're looking to grow that audience. We want you to hear more. We are this close. This close. We should have our 1,000th listen this week, as long as we entertain people enough that they want to turn us on. So, JJ Wang,
Yep.
you said you were in on the combine. I said there are a bunch of dudes in their underwear.
I mean,
And
it
I've
is.
been running around like crazy man this week.
I mean, it is a
You
bunch
got
of
thoughts
dudes.
from the week?
I mean, huh?
You got thoughts from the combine?
Well, yeah, but what I really want to say is there's this was a defensive lineman from was it Alabama? I don't know, but
I saw that.
he
Yeah.
weighs I think 6'7", 341 pounds, and he run like a 4'8" or 4'7",
So
four
yes,
three.
I
Was it a
read that
four?
this morning.
Was it
Actually,
something?
it's
Might have been a
ridiculous.
4'3". Was it a 4'3"?
I will look that up.
But it was something crazy. But yeah, but they're irrelevant in fantasy. But I think it's kind of interesting to watch. Watch
Georgia
how.
defensive lineman
Yeah,
Jordan Davis
yeah. I mean,
is the guy, and
it's insane, man. These guys are so athletic. It's crazy.
it's just crazy. 4'8" He's
Yes.
340. Like I'm sitting there, I am half of that human being, give or take, and I'd be struggling.
I mean, how fast do you think you can run a 40?
I've heard podcasters talk about this. I couldn't even begin to guess how bad it would be. I'll say 6 seconds, 5 minutes. I mean, I figure I'm not in terrible shape, but I'm a quick little nugget. But
I
I
think I
don't
could.
know.
I think I could do it in like 5'7", 5'8", maybe. I
You got
think.
long legs though too. I
I
got these
think
little
I
bitty
don't. I
skills.
don't really. I've never. I don't know the last time I actually. Honestly, I bet I'm a lot slower because my daughter asks me to race all the time now,
Yeah.
and I'm pretty sure it won't be long before she's beating me. So I'm pretty sure I might be at like 6.5 in the 40s. I'll take that back.
Now you're making me want to go. My son, I'll be on the soccer field in a couple weeks with my boy, start to measure it out and see how fast I can do it.
I might get my daughter's soccer team to run the 40, and we'll see what happens.
Have my watch ready.
Yeah, we'll see what happens.
Oh, I'd
But
be
yeah, there's a lot of I think a lot of interesting stuff that goes on with combine. Like I don't think you really take any of it. I'm not gonna say you can't take it serious, but I mean, you watch these guys. Some of these quarterbacks just throwing this ball so far down the field, it's crazy. So that's where we'll start. But instead of throwing the ball, we're going to talk about Kenny Pickett and his
dropping the ball.
and his incredibly small hands. So I guess he measured in at 8.5, right? And it says that the only quarterback in the league with hands smaller than 9 is Taysom Hill. So that just goes to show you. I mean, it sounds crazy, but it means something, I guess. I think Michael Vick was the best quarterback to ever have hands smaller than 9. So I mean, one guy out of how many?
Yeah, but how many did they fall into the trap and not draft because they had little bitty hands? That'd be an
Well,
interesting stat too.
I mean, maybe, but then I read something out of 683 prospects since like 1987. Only 9 quarterbacks have had smaller hands than Kenny Pickett. So, I mean, it's got to say something. I mean, who knows? I mean, I think it's just kind of funny that they make such a big deal about their hand size. But he does have like a double jointed like thumb on his right hand. I don't know really what any of that really affects. But I mean, I think he looked pretty good out there throwing the ball down the field. I mean, he looked strong, like a strong arm. He's throwing the ball deep, so I don't see him having any issues with gripping the ball. I mean, he does wear those two gloves like Teddy Bridgewater, so I guess we'll be calling him Two Gloves Kenny pretty
Any two
soon. So
gloves. But
Kenny Two Gloves.
the funny thing about that, I believe it was Brandon Allen because they're talking about he had the other little hands at the Senior Bowl and he stretched his hands to like, add an inch to them. So, uh, this is going to be the chip on his shoulder? It makes me kind of root for him more now because they're going to be like, "Oh, this is a little guy. He's got little bitty hands. He can't throw a football." Okay, why don't you tell that to Barry Sanders? He wasn't outrageously big, or the bowling ball known as Maurice Jones-Drew, or I I, I think this is going to be his chip, and it
but
really. Do
if
you think he'll fall? Do you think it'll affect his
but
draft
if
stock?
Barry Sanders had little quads, I don't think he's getting drafted very high.
Okay,
but no,
true, but
I still
you know,
think Kenny Pickett's going to be the second. I still think he'd be the second quarterback taken. Willis didn't do anything athletically because we all know what he's going to do. So he didn't do any of the athletic stuff. He's wait till his pro day. I mean, he was out there throwing the ball really well. He looked really good throwing the ball too. But like I said, I think it's going to be Willis and then Pickett, and then I think the third guy is going to be Desmond Ritter. I mean, I think he was probably looked the best at the combine. I think he ran a 4.49. That's what he ran. So he's really fast at 6'4". Um, so I mean, he's a little small. I think he's like 210, 207, something. So he's a little thinner, but I think he can bulk up a little bit. And I think Ritter might be the guy that jumps up and surprises everybody and the third quarterback, maybe jumping in the top 12 because Matt Corral is nowhere to be seen. So I mean, he might be kind of losing his luster a little bit if he's not out there with these quarterbacks. He's gonna have to wait till his pro day. So I mean, watch out for Ritter. I think he looks pretty good.
let's say I think I've seen him going to the Commanders in a handful of
Yep.
mocks. Even before this, they were intrigued by him.
I think I mentioned last week that Ritter would like the Commanders would be a surprise spot for Ritter, but I mean I think he looks good. I mean, it's quarterback. I mean, I think all these guys are going to go in for the top 5 quarterbacks go in the first round. This happens every year. I mean, like look at the last 5 years, all these quarterbacks that go, and this is because everybody needs quarterbacks. You can't wait. You got to take a shot on them. So.
Yep, you did have him in there. I had him in Denver, but keep reading more. I need to change my stupid mind. Who knows?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's going to be good. So that's the quarterbacks. Of course, we talked about him a lot last, but keep an eye out for my boy Cole Kelly though. He's got a strong arm, 6'7", 249. That's a big dude standing back there in the pocket, and he can run a little bit, and he's got a strong arm. Keep your eyes open. I'm telling
He'll
you,
be your sneaky late round pick.
he's going to be my sneaky pick. Of course, I won't be able to get him because everybody else is going to snag him before I get it because they know how much I
Oh
like him.
yeah, all those people listened to our episode last week. They're like,
Yeah.
"Wow, both of
So
them."
we'll
Jab, jab, jab.
we'll switch over to running backs. I'm gonna start with I think my biggest disappointment of the day. That's Kyron Williams, the guy out of Notre Dame. Came in a little small, 194. Like you like to have your running backs over that 200 mark, even if they weigh 200. It just looks better than that 194. He's more. I think he's the third down back. He can catch really well. They say he can block really well. But like I said, he just didn't run that fast. Thought he would run. I think it was a 4.6. I think that was his 40. I think it's a little slow for a running back, but who knows? Like I said, he can pass block and he can catch. So I think he'll get on the field a little bit. Have you read anything on this guy?
I mean, you're looking at a guy who played 2 years. He played 3 years, but 2 years he was 1,000-yard running back. So he was good. I mean, he had the
Yeah.
touchdowns. I mean,
Oh
in
yeah,
Notre Dame,
I mean, he
he
definitely
was
had an
throwing
amazing.
in those touchdowns. So his seasons were looking good, but He's gonna be a scat. With the scat with the size that's got scat back written all over it. Third down back. He's gonna need a lot the right system to go any farther, and not going to be anybody that you're going to go crazy for unless you fall into him. Luckily, in a PPR would be my guess. And then again, he could like I'm gonna all off season. I'm going to be linking with my favorite team because they're going. Mike McDaniel said they're going to run the ball 400 and some odd times. So either they're going to trade for Saquon, which I've seen, they're going to draft a gajillion running backs, bring back Duke. I don't even know, but he seems like the perfect complement back if they decide just to go all rookies to get him because being littler, he'll probably even slide a little more than you would think because running
Yeah, I
backs
mean,
are not a draftable commodity.
yeah, I mean that's probably a thing like a third round maybe. So these next two guys, I'm gonna put them together. So the first one is the guy out of Georgia. We know how running backs out of Georgia go. I mean, there's so many of them. They actually had two this year in Zamir White, but the guy I'm going with is James Cook, Dalvin's little brother, and also the FCS guy out of the draft. Hold on a second. Got something over my screen. All right,
Talk
sorry.
about Pierce Strong
Yeah,
too.
yeah, Pierre Strong. Yeah, but he was probably the fastest running back. He ran a 4.3. Um, he is a senior, so he's a little older, 5'11", 207. I wish he'd probably jump up, maybe 10 pounds, but I think he's obviously super fast. He looks good. I'm definitely interested in this guy. And as far as Cook goes, he's just like Connor Williams. He's at third down. He's a really good receiver. He also was I think he came in at 199.
See, you put
Um,
on some weight.
yeah, so like I said, he's that good third down back. I don't know if he can be like the one or two down back. I don't think he's going to be a Dalvin Cook type. I don't know if he'll be that good, but we'll see. It's interesting.
I mean, the Pierce Strong will be more of the nobody really knows, like what's
Yeah.
going to come out of the kid out of South Dakota State. So he'll be, I mean, no matter how good he is, he's got to show something crazy wild to really go any higher than what the fourth, fifth. He'll be like a day three pick, and someone's going to hope for a diamond in the rough. What do you think?
Oh yeah. I mean, I don't see him going very high, but the 40 time is definitely impressive. Did open up some eyes. But who's the last guy that I had on here? Who's that?
Talking about you're talking about Brees
Oh yeah,
Hall.
Brees Hall and Kenny Walker. So these obviously these were the top two guys in the combine. So what kind of running back do you prefer? Do you prefer the 1 year wonder or the 3 year stud that Brees Hall is?
Uh, tell you what, I used to want something in between because I don't want the guy who's all tired. But Jonathan Taylor is really making me rethink that. Like Jonathan Taylor was that they're like, oh, dude, that guy is going to be exhausted coming in. Um, I mean, but then again, the sample size of that is smaller because a lot of the guys coming in are coming from those big programs where they haven't had the turn. So it's going to be for top running back. It's like the Alabama guys, top running back, top running back. But in college, their numbers aren't spectacular because there's three of them or there's two studs in front of them. I mean, both of these guys are pretty solid guys. I wouldn't kick either of them to the curb. Um, I mean, based upon what I've seen out of Taylor, I'd want the guy who's got the experience. Brees Hall is putting up numbers. I mean, he's touched the ball at a minimum. 186 was his lowest in the last 3 years, and then he's just been the workhorse. He's been just consistently leading them the last 2 years. I'd jump on that in a New York minute. I wouldn't be surprised if he's the. I mean, he's going to be one, obvious, but how will someone reach in the first round to grab him?
It'd
I
be
mean, they
one.
don't, but is there gonna?
I mean,
He's
you would.
if there is someone, it could be him, unless someone really is in love with
I
Kenny
mean,
Hall.
if one of those teams at the end of the first round they think they're a running back away, then maybe. But I mean, between these two guys, it's tough. I think Walker definitely solidified as being as the number two. I don't think Spiller did looked all that great. I seen it. Watching him catch the ball, he didn't look as strong as catching the ball as I thought he would. I think Walker is a little bit more dynamic as far as that goes. I mean, honestly, by the time the draft rolls around, it wouldn't surprise me if somebody were to take Walker over Hall just because of his dynamic running ability. He didn't catch the ball a lot, but who knows? lot of times they don't even throw to the running backs in college. So I think he can still catch. He looked. I mean, watching him catching the combine, he looked strong. He's catching with his hands. He looked strong. He looked strong catching the ball. So I think he.
I mean, it's amazing to think we talk about these guys having stone hands. These guys probably are pretty good at. I mean, they're all stellar athletes regardless, and probably good at catching the ball. It's just do they forget like, oh yeah, I'm a running back, I don't know how to catch. But some of these guys in the pros, you're like, it's like, are you running? Are you catching with fists? You can't catch a cold. Whereas it's like, do you got to be under 200 pounds to catch a football? It seems to be the rule.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you get locked in that third down back, but I think these college offenses are so worried about throwing the ball down the field, they just ain't got a lot of time to drop it off to these running backs. Speaking of getting the ball down the field, I think we got the wide receiver one, Treylon Burke. I would think. I mean, he didn't test great, but the guy just looks good. And when he plays football, of course, he gets used kind of different. They use him a lot in the slot. They kind of use him like 49ers did Debo. So he's got a lot of like running too. But I think overall, I think Burke would be the number one receiver. He just looks like kind of like that AJ Brown type guy, that guy out there. He's just 6'2", 230. I mean, that's a big dude. I mean, he didn't run as fast as I thought he was going to do. He ran like 6'5". That's not right at all. A 4'5".
Oh, yeah.
The 4'5". If you're on 6'5", I'd be out there. But
you're stuck at
he ran a 4'5", but I guess speed really isn't his game. He's just going to outmuscle people, and I think he was going to be the first wide receiver off the board. I think he looks impressive.
I mean, he played against the competition. I mean, that gives him, in my opinion, as opposed to the last two guys. Now, the SEC is the creme de la creme, and if you can put up those kind of numbers he played for Arkansas, for crying out loud. It's not like he's the Alabama studs that are coming out that we talked about a while back. So it'll be. What do you think? I mean, a lot of names I hear linked to receivers are Philadelphia. I mean, they have 15 and 16 back to back. Could he go that early?
He'll go before that.
Yeah, you think so?
I mean, as soon as I don't know, like I don't have
Cleveland.
Where are they at?
They're at 13.
Yeah, I mean, like whoever decides to take the first wide receiver.
How about 10? New York Jets.
That's neat. I think he would look good. I mean, Zach Wilson likes to throw the ball down the field.
Big guy.
Treylon Burke likes to run down the field. So I mean, he can catch it. I mean,
that's a good spot. I like that because I put a big guy to put with the receiver, Elijah Moore.
Yeah, there's more. I know they still got do they still got homeboy from?
Mims.
No, the guy that came from Tennessee. I can't remember his name. Was it Tennessee that he played?
Oh, you're talking. Yeah, Corey Davis. I forgot.
Yeah, Corey Davis. There you go. But yeah, I think Mims is an afterthought, and if Treylon Burke comes in, Corey Davis pretty much be an afterthought too.
They paid him though. So they would have two big guys. They'd run three receivers and just forget about. Yeah.
So I mean, I think that'd be a good spot for him if he lasts that long. But these next two guys out of Ohio State, I think these guys are going to be right behind him, and Garrett Wilson and Chris Olave. Garrett Wilson had all the hype coming in, but watching Olave run down the field, I mean, they're both super. I think they both ran like a 4.3. One was a 4.37 and one was a 4.38. So they're just as fast. But watching Olave like run his routes, like cutting them off around the cones, I mean, they just look so sharp. I mean, he looks really good. I wouldn't be surprised if somebody made Olave the second wide receiver team. I thought he looked really. I don't know what I'm looking at, but out there when he like when he was cutting, it just looked crisper than everybody else was doing. So we'll see. I mean, you should probably give this guy a watch.
And I mean, they're physically not that awful different, an inch and a couple pounds. I don't know if they're. I didn't hear your official. I didn't pay attention to your official combine height and weight.
I don't know.
Okay.
I can't memorize that one.
But yeah, the college. I mean, Olave's 6'1" at 189, whereas Wilson is 6'0", 188, and just very, very thinly separated. But you look at Olave. Olave's had 3 years at the top. He's a year older, whereas Wilson. So yeah, I mean, maybe these are the guys that we just flip a coin and see who Philly likes. Like I think we're looking right here from 10 to 16 that the teams that are looking probably for receiver. Maybe maybe the last guy goes to Atlanta, but I think they have so many more needs. But you're looking Jets, then Washington's take quarterback, Minnesota. I don't know if they'll draft another receiver after they got some decent young guys.
Yeah, I don't think they
Cleveland,
would.
of course, they see Landry might be
I
out.
would hate. I would hate
Baltimore
for
always needs
one.
a receiver.
I would hate for one of these guys to go to Cleveland. Obviously, the passing game in Cleveland is not what you want.
Would you rather go to Baltimore? Ugh.
Probably. I mean, I'd rather try to catch a pass from Lamar Jackson than catch a pass from
Whoever.
Baker Mayfield. Because wasn't Hollywood Brown at least like in the
Every now
range
and
of a top wide receiver? If he wouldn't have dropped all those touchdowns, he probably would have been a top 12
then.
wide receiver, probably. But I mean, if one of these guys, I mean, I wouldn't be disappointed if they went to Baltimore. I mean, they wouldn't be my wide receiver one, but I'd
They
still be
drop him,
interested.
and that was right. Remember I was talking about before got on. I started recording was like a lot of these guys are just frustrated. I get all excited, and they go like, "Oh yeah, Garrett Wilson drafted by the Cowboys, great, done."
Well, I mean,
I mean,
honestly,
they're dropping Cooper, so he'll be
as I'm
there.
about to say, it would surprise me. They need a third wide receiver. I mean,
But they're gonna pay Gallup. And I like Gallup, and I think
I
you
think
get one
they'll
of those
bring.
two out of there.
So, I mean, if they pay Gallup, that means they're technically only paying one wide receiver big money because CD Lamb hasn't gotten his extension
There's only
yet.
so many balls. I mean, they're gonna lose the tight end because Schultz wants to get paid.
I mean, they had three wide receivers last year. I mean, they had enough balls to go around. They throw a lot.
I don't know.
But we'll see. I don't want them to go to Cowboys. I want CD Lamb to have as many targets as possible. But we'll go with these last two guys. The last wide receiver is another FCS guy. We're going with Christian Watson out of North Dakota State. These Dakota states, man, these like the only schools the FCS that produce guys on a consistent level. But Christian Watson is big dude, 6'4", only 207, I believe. So he's a little slim. He could probably use gain a few pounds, but
He's
I think
20
he
pounds
ran
bigger
a
than the last two guys.
yeah, you're right. I think he ran a sub 4.42, I believe.
4.36.
Yeah, 4.3. So he's really fast, really big. I mean, he looks like a nice wide receiver to put out wide too. I mean, I think he looked good out there. He can catch strong. He's a good down the field guy. So watch out for him. Of course, FCS. So he might be drafted a little later. So in this last guy, it's kind of we'll call this
Tickling my fancy.
The Dove special. Because not only is he a tight end, he's a tight end from Virginia. So
Wahoo!
we know how much your brother, the doctor, loves Virginia. So it's Jelani Woods. Guy's a monster, right? So he's 6'7", 259. Watching him run around the combat, I mean, he doesn't look smooth. I mean, he kind of like rumbles around. But when you got somebody that big and can catch the ball like that, I mean, I thought he looked good catching it. They say he's not a great blocker. He needs to put on a little bit more weight. They say his legs might be a little thin. I don't know. They look big to me. They don't they don't look thin to
Yeah, but
me in
your
any
legs are like
way.
this, or like my fingers put together around your little chicken legs, and his
Yeah,
legs look
but I
like
mean, you get him out there. It's definitely a mismatch. I mean, he's 6'7", 259. Who's going to guard that guy? And he ran really fast. He was the fastest tight end in the combat at 4.6. So I mean, it's gonna be hard to match up with this guy. Watch some highlights. He's pretty fun to watch.
big boy. I always root for a tight end, and so we'll be talking. Well, he'll be that guy we sneak in on our deeper rosters and bigger like tight end premium leagues, and then, man, I don't think there's anybody this year that's going to be Kyle Pitts. Nobody you're going to fall in love with and actually like a tight end. Is that correct?
No, I mean, there's a couple. I mean, there's that Watermeyer. I don't know. Watermeyer out of Texas A&M. There's Trey McBride. I can't recall where he was from. He's got a lot of buzz. So I mean, there's no
No Kyle Pitts.
Kyle Pitts, but some of these guys don't look bad. There's a kid out of Ohio State. They don't throw
Ruckert?
to, they don't throw a lot to the tight end, but they say he's looking really good out there. So I think there's some sneaky tight end upside here if we're diving deep enough.
Yeah, we'll see how they pan out. It's tight ends tough. I always draft too many, then I give up. I can pick my tight ends, but then I always miss them by that 1 year, and then I'm like, oh, I feel terrible for missing them.
Yeah, because I mean
It's
they're hard. I mean usually take a little longer to develop, and we ain't got time for these guys to develop. I'm trying to win now. If you ain't helping me now, I mean I ain't got no use for you. So I mean, I only got so many spots on my roster, dude. You gotta produce early and often. You gotta stay
Yeah,
on my
especially if
team,
it's single tight end. Like
especially the single tight end.
it's a
And
big
right now,
thing
there's
there.
not a lot of room for you, so you gotta produce early. But yeah, that's
So
all. That's all the combine right there. That's why I mean, like I said, I didn't sit down and watch every minute of it, but I tried to watch as much as I could. I'm not a like I said, I'm a sit down study film guy, but I mean, I like to watch some highlights here and there. I don't necessarily point out negatives. I like to keep things positive. I like to be excited about all these guys. That leaves me open to being able to draft as many guys as possible. If I keep out all the negatives, I'll just draft them all.
yeah, you sound like Paul Abdul from the old school American Idol. Everybody's great. You're
Everybody's
all
great.
amazing. I love you. You just keep it up, everybody.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I mean, they all look. I mean, they all look good at this point. So I'll keep it positive.
So yeah, that's excellent. Getting us going. We'll talk more about these guys over the next 2 months. Next week is a week I'm excited for. The next 2 weeks are going to be my weeks of excitement because we are hitting up free agency. It's good.
Yeah,
We'll
I
do
mean,
a free agency prediction show next week, and then the week after that, we'll just look stupid because we'll then start evaluating free agency, and then we'll start looking at even like coaches where they fit, where these players fit, who they affect, and who got gypped in free agency, who got Amari Cooper and just lost a lot of their pass catching ability because he's on that team, or is Amari going to land in wide receiver purgatory? Is he a Cleveland Brown? Who knows? I doubt it, but who knows?
I mean, if anybody lives in ends up in Cleveland, I feel sorry for you.
So
Sorry for you.
give us some weekly wisdom and we'll send everybody on their way.
Not a very wise guy. You asked for a lot of wisdom from me. So
Hi, smartest man I know on this podcast, not named me.
yeah, I guess you're right. Maybe keep it positive. But I don't know. I'll make this one up a little bit as I go. But like, make sure you watch these guys. I mean, don't want to be guessing. You don't want to be guessing when you're going into your draft, right? You kind of want to have some kind of idea of what these guys can do. I mean, watch some. You don't have to sit down and dig deep into the tape, but watch some highlights. Get excited for them. Go. I like to be excited for players when I go into my drafts. I mean, I like to have a list of like 20, 25 guys. If I can pull off 3 or 4 or 5 of them, I'm happy. If I go into a draft not knowing who any of these guys are, I
Throwing
mean, I'm
darts.
not going to be. It's not going to be a very exciting draft. I mean, you gotta study these guys a little bit. I mean, I know fantasy isn't real. I mean, fantasy is a
It is
lot of
real.
luck.
Shut your mouth.
It's not, and it's a lot of luck, but you also got to put in a little bit of work to watch these guys and know who they are. So yeah,
Is that how you get Ramondre Stevenson and Amon-Ra St. Brown on all your teams?
that's just luck because we all know you're not out here
So what
watching.
am I doing? I give up.
We're not out. You're not out here watching these highlights. But yeah, I mean that's how you get those guys. I mean you find these guys before you go into the draft, and you're like, I really like this guy. This is who I'm going to go after. That's who I'm going to pinpoint, and you go get him. That's what fantasy is all about. Finding your guys. You want guys on your team that you like. You don't have a bunch of guys on your team you don't like, right? I mean, it's no fun that way.
Most of them.
That's just that's how you should build your fantasy team. But as always, trust yourself and trust the process.